We
Episode whatever. I've lost count.
episode 8.
8? Yeah,
Yeah,
8. I'll trust you.
yeah. At least that's what I've got in the Trello board here.
This is the record shows.
Yeah. So I want to talk sports theory, specifically sports fandom, and the theory of being a serious sports fan, like
Okay.
the rationality of it, which
Okay.
might be an oxymoron. But yeah, at the outset, I want to be clear: we're talking about sports fanaticism, being a sports fan, and everything that comes with that, and not playing sports. The value in playing sports is a much different conversation, and one I think that's like largely indisputable.
I mean, the value in playing
Yeah,
in terms of what, like being a good, like learning how to bond, being a teammate.
yeah,
Is
all
that
that stuff's obvious. Like playing sports is a much easier conversation to have. It would be the biggest argument against it would be like playing football and like killing your brain, which is a good argument. But for other sports that aren't as hard on your brain, it's pretty much all good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had this idea because recently I've realized like the way that I follow sports, the way I watch sports, and what I think about sports, being a fan, has like changed immensely. And we've talked about this before, but I wanted to get it out on a podcast focused towards it. So kind of what I was thinking is I was going to go into my monologue here, into like my general take on what I'm trying to say, and then you can respond or we can discuss from there.
Okay.
So long story short, I don't watch sports as much anymore. I don't care as much about watching sports. I'm still a fan of teams and I still follow sports, but for me, relative to how I used to interact with sports, it's a big change. And just like starting from the top. So I've been a sports fan like my entire life. It's a significant part of like my identity. I have a lot of specific memories centered around watching, playing, and talking about sports with other people. And it's been with me for pretty much like my entire like conscious memory. I was actually a baseball fan before anything else because my dad used to take me to Astros games as a kid. Those were like the first sporting events that I was ever exposed to. And then I got into basketball and football, Rockets and Texans. And when I was a kid, I played football and basketball, like just in the yard with my dad, with friends in the neighborhood. And I became more interested in playing basketball. So that was like my primary sport throughout like most of my life. I still remember like getting a basketball goal in my driveway, and that shit absolutely changed my life, like forever. Playing basketball kept me in shape, got better at it over time, got me through shit. Shooting hoops was and still is like a form of meditation for me. Like it's my favorite thing to do, or one of my favorite things. All of that's still true. That's playing sports, like I said. But playing sports, especially basketball, got me into watching it, obviously. And I honestly think watching basketball whenever I was a kid made me better at playing it. Because I would watch players like Dwayne Wade. He was like one of my favorites. And Kobe. And I would try to like practically implement the things they were doing into my own game. And how they dribbled, how they shot, like their literal form. And, they're probably cheap imitations, but it worked. And I definitely think it made me better. And like that's kind of like why I started seriously watching sports. It started with basketball, but then got into baseball and football also, especially when the Astros got good when I was like in middle school. It's because I was watching to get better at sports. And then it progressed from there, and I became like the guy that knew all the stats. Everybody would come to me to talk sports, and I would watch all the games, or watch as much as I could, especially the NBA, like I said. But over the past couple of years, now this is like, I'm a washed adult now, so that might factor into all this as well. I've kind of experienced like this paradigm shift when it comes to my sports fandom and playing, because I obviously don't play as much anymore. I've kind of taken some steps back from following sports, and it's changed my entire like perspective. It's just become less important. I don't feel the need to watch sports anymore, and I don't feel as invested with my teams. Like I don't feel as bad when they lose, and as good as when they win, I guess. And partially that's because I don't watch as much. Like I'm consciously not invested anymore. I don't think it happened passively. I think this is a decision I made at some point along the way. And I think importantly in all this, I think that this development is a good thing. Because when we watch sports, we're willingly subjecting ourselves to being like, it's completely out of your control. You're a prisoner of fate. And I know that's partially, I understand, is what people find gratifying about it, is because it's like really high when it's high and really low when you lose. And I just don't want to do it anymore. And I realize all this might be from just like me not taking it serious, like taking it too seriously whenever I was younger, like when I was being a fan. But before now, that's never something I've actually consciously considered. That I was like, hey, maybe I'm taking this too seriously. It was all just like naturally that way. And I understand that being obsessive about things that I'm interested in is like a pretty integral part of my personality and plays into all this. So basically, I'm just saying that I don't think it's rational to be a sports fan. That's like my thesis, and maybe that's stating the obvious.
It's
but
literally in the name.
It
being
is
being a fanatic.
And I still follow the Rockets and Astros and Texans, even A&M football and basketball. But I've simply changed how I do so. I don't watch every game. I don't watch every highlight. I pick and choose how I'm interested. And, the Astros winning the World Series, which was awesome, you might think might change like the way I'm thinking about this, but I think it's really only reinforced it. I was excited as anyone with their victory, but I kind of feel like it was like a bookend for this like era of my life as it relates to sports and following them. I feel like it's kind of like freed me. Like I can retire at least to the level that I'm at now in like peace, because like one of my teams won a championship. It's an awesome experience, and like I honestly think I can't complain about my teams not winning natties like maybe ever again, because we got one. And
Right.
I never want to become like a
funny
Patriots
from now
fan
on.
or an Alabama fan where I just expect it. Like that was super special. But anyways, just to conclude, what I've just described may sound like I'm being facetious. At worst, I have become, or simply always have been, like a terrible Fairweather fan. And I would argue that all fans are Fairweather fans, and it also doesn't matter. Because whatever this is, call it, an evolution into the next stage, or I'm just retreating from all of it. I don't know. I think this is the only way I can sanely operate in sports followership going forward.
Yep.
That's kind of my manifesto.
The only way to keep like that level of like fanaticism towards it is if literally if you're Bill Simmons and your teams have been good your entire existence.
That
like
is an aspect, yeah. It's
like
just
he's had the Celtics, the Red Sox, and the Pats.
Yeah.
And he's like in his 50s, 40s, like late 40s, early 50s. Like,
and he grew up, like his formative years, mine were like in the late 90s, early 2000s. His formative years were in like the 80s when the Celtics had Larry Bird. And the Red Sox were pretty good as well.
Right, so I think now he's like the poster boy for like the irrational sports fan, if you will.
Right.
But like he was able to keep that I guess that motivation going because his teams have always been good. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's part of it. Is like if your teams are good, it makes
the
everything.
Celtics were terrible. Like he had like the Pats or the Red Sox to lean back
on some front. He was always had something. Because that might be part of it. Also, is just like Houston sports, A&M sports especially, might have just battered us into like this state of forced apathy. Because if we care, we're taking too much damage. We're getting injured constantly.
Setting yourself up for hurt, which I've been hurt many times. And at first, I used to express anger, but now it's just despair.
But honestly, like, and somebody would say,
or it was
counterpoint,
just despair.
a counterpoint to this, to being battered into a state of like apathy and just like not following because you just don't have the energy to anymore because you're so like used to losing. A counterpoint to this would be like, well, yeah, that feels terrible. But if A&M, a couple years from now were to win a championship, then it would be the exact good feeling that was bad. Like it'd be the opposite effect. Like the hill would be just as high as the peak was. I mean,
Right.
as the dip was low. So, and I don't think that's true. I think I would be like happy and I'd be like excited about it, but a part of me would always remain dead inside. Like I think that's gone. That's past, and I don't think it'll just immediately get revitalized by a natty.
Yeah, I think you need to experience that natty when you're a young boy. Like when I went to the Auburn game, like right after the World Series, like I saw like a bunch of like kids in like A&M shirts and like Astros hats, and I was just like, wow, like these kids like they got it off the bat. Now from now on, they'll always be like, baseball is great because my team has won.
You just have to hope that they don't become entitled because of that.
Yeah,
but yeah, that is a good outcome for them, for the young souls.
right. We got maybe I guess we got cooked in the World Series in 05. So that's when baseball died for me. Because I was just like, wow. Like,
well, that was the last year we were good until
and then
like a decade later.
It was a freaking black hole. I was just like, no use in keeping up with the Astros.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I totally did that. I retreated from I didn't watch baseball or follow it at all for like a solid probably 5 years.
Yeah,
up until
and then when Yao and T-Mac died, that severed my interest from basketball.
The Rockets were bad for a couple years.
It's like I never was into the Texans like you were, so I mean I don't have an NFL team.
Yep.
So
yeah, I started following the Texans seriously like the last year of David Carr and the first like couple years of Schaub. And I was like, I went to a couple games, got into it. We drafted like Mario Williams, got Schaub, so we finally had like relative to Carr an okay quarterback. And Andre Johnson was like a monster. His prime years were like that was the reason to watch.
Right.
We just got Andre Johnson Day. That was yesterday, right? The 19th.
Wait, is it like every day?
Every year. Every year on November 19th will be Andre Johnson Day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Andre
what's
Johnson.
Is there a significance to the date? Or is it just the one that was open?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It might be his birthday or something, but I doubt it.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I remember liking Andre first because of the video of him beating the shit out of that Finnegan.
Cortland Finnegan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It warms my heart to think about it.
And wide receivers are my favorite players in football for the most part. They have all the I don't know. They get to have all the fun. They're the flashy ones. They're usually the crazy ones. Moss.
Andre Johnson was
Cheeto.
low key. That's what set him apart.
Right, but he was still like a monster.
Yeah, and like I still remember, like one of the things that it was like two formative moments in like one game. I think it was against the Titans. There was a catch that Andre Johnson made, like a deep ball. I think it was from Schaub. It was during the Schaub years, and Andre Johnson like mossed on someone, just like monstered on him and like caught it downfield. It wasn't a touchdown, but he just like got up, and it was Gus Johnson calling the game. And I didn't I didn't have an awareness of who Gus Johnson was. He was just a voice to me at that point. And Andre Johnson, that was like still like the early years of me watching the Texans. And I remember Andre Johnson got up and he started like popping his collar like really fast and really like vigorously. And Gus Johnson did the Andre Johnson, he's popping his collar. And like that moment, I was like, both of those people were solidified as like two of my favorites in sports, Andre Johnson and Gus Johnson, because of his energy. You can like look that up on YouTube. It's fucking awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of good Gus Johnson, Andre Johnson calls.
Yeah, now Gus calls like Big 12 games, so he's like overheating constantly.
He's in a wasteland.
Because everyone's always just scoring.
The second best Gus Johnson call was whenever
the swope.
No. Whenever the Texas not quarterback, kicker missed. So like Texas had that ridiculous comeback against UCLA a couple years ago. I guess it was two
Was
or
it
3 years ago.
UCLA?
And
Oh
against
yeah,
UCLA, and it was at DKR. So it was
yeah.
the Texas crowd was going insane. Gus Johnson was like basically rooting for the UT because he wanted to see this ridiculous comeback. He was like so excited on all their touchdowns, and they tied it, or they got the 6 points to bring it within one. The extra
Oh
point
yeah, I
ties
remember
it,
that. That was
and
yeah.
he
I
missed
think
the
that
extra
was
point.
I think that was against West Virginia. But anyway,
Was it West Virginia? Okay, maybe
yeah,
you're right.
I remember watching it in College Station and then just laughing my ass off when,
Yeah.
when he just missed the fucking field
Because
goal.
Gus Johnson was like so pumped, like the quarterback, I think it was
Yeah.
like Swopes or whatever, had like a touchdown run to tie it, or like you just had to make the extra point. And he was like so excited, the whole stadium's like buzzing. They're about to go to overtime, and he just shanks the extra point, and Gus Johnson goes, "Oh no, bless his heart," and like the entire stadium goes quiet. Gus Johnson like doesn't say a word for like the rest of the broadcast. Like they go quiet and just shows shots of the crowd like being shocked. And then it just shows UCLA players like celebrating, and then the game just ends on the next play, and like it's just over. But like that Gus Johnson call also, like he was also getting like the fans getting like the rug pulled out from underneath him.
Pulled out from under him.
Yeah. But yeah, like I mean football out of all three of them is the one that like I've kind of moved away from the most. It's just not as fun to watch anymore to me.
Yeah.
I've gotten more into baseball, and I'm still just like basketball is my favorite sport. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, like
I agree. Like I was a college football guy first.
yeah, that was your entry. That was your
I mean
gateway drug.
that's just what I watched. For some reason, I just picked that as the thing I was gonna watch, and I thought it was the best. Watch College Game Day religiously. I've gotten so much ting in my tang.
Yep.
I've sang the Big and Rich song more times than I'd like to admit. But
I mean, I've been watching college football for so long. I still remember like the way that each of them looked in College Game Day, and
Yeah,
like how
being
their
the
eras changed
set.
over the years. And like if you show me old highlights from early 2000s games all the way until now, each of the different like years and eras, I can
Yeah.
recognize like all the different types of scoreboards that they show on the screen.
Mhm.
Like the little like score keeping thing, whether it's like a band across the bottom or a little square in the top left or top right.
Right.
I've seen all of those, and like I can like recognize them on a whim. Like that's just in my brain for some reason, and that really goes across all sports. But college football, I feel like, has some of the most
They have the more
unique
distinctive
ones.
ones.
Yeah,
Also, there's like infinite college football games. You've just seen them so many times.
yeah.
So many different teams. But yeah. So I used to just watch it, just rooting for teams that I thought were cool. Like for the longest time, I thought Texas Tech was awesome when they had
Flying.
when
Crabtree.
Leach was out there, just literally just ignoring the fact that running backs existed, like only calling slants. Like I remember one time he called like the same play like 7 times in a row.
Yeah.
And then like after like at halftime they like asked him, and he did one of those things where he just looks off into the ether. He was just like, "Well, if they're not going to stop it, why would I stop running it?" And then he was just like,
Leach
and then I
told
was
it like it was.
yeah,
He was like a
Leach,
drunk uncle. He was always drunk and always telling it like it is.
Leach is Leach is one of the best personalities. Also, like college football personalities, like the coaches. Like I don't know, for some reason the coaches have a lot of personality in college football.
They also matter so much.
Right? Yeah.
Like they
because
are so important to the program. Like
because
recruiting
it's
is
not
basically like a
necessarily
blank
yeah.
check.
Like yeah, whatever. People are getting paid, but people also want to play for like someone that has a reputation either that's cool or like this is a great coach or whatever. Like they all have their own styles. Like
Yeah, same
coaches
with college
matter a lot.
basketball. Honestly, the coaches have a lot of personality. And
I guess,
they carry a lot of weight.
that's all a thing of recruiting. Like obviously scheme matters, but like I don't know, basketball, like college basketball especially, like if you have just like 3 good players, I don't know how much scheme actually matters. Like
Skill, it matters in like the tournament with like defense, because defense matters so much. Like players, once they identify who the best player is, like the other team, a good other team will do everything possible to stop that person. So you have to figure out schemes to get that player open, and then also just defense. And something I would want to clarify that I just thought of is college football and college basketball, especially March Madness, are some of like my most enjoyable like moments and like times watching sports for me. And that's partly because like everything I said earlier about, being a prisoner of fate and all that shit. That's specifically for when you're rooting and you're completely invested in a team and you're rooting for them and you're watching their games.
Yeah.
Whenever you're watching, you're an impartial observer and you're watching a game that you have no stake in. And I'm not talking about like there's certain games where you just like I hate LSU or Alabama, so I just want them to lose. You're still a little bit invested in whatever team they're playing against, right? Yep. But March Madness and college football, since there's so many games and there's so many intriguing matchups that like I don't have any connection to and I don't care about who wins, that is honestly the most fun that I've had watching sports. Especially, March Madness is like the best.
That's why I liked watching college football so much. Like when I was like,
because you didn't have a horse in the race.
I was just like, I just root for whoever's cool.
Yeah, and that's the best.
Like
that's the best way to watch sports, but it's not really possible. Like you're always now we always kind of have a team. If they're playing, like we're going to be invested, or that's the idea. But the game like March Madness, where it's just insane. Like George Mason is beating UConn like in 2008. That was like some of the most fun I've ever had watching sports, and those are the moments that I'll
Cinderella teams, all that stuff.
I'll continue engaging in that. Like March Madness, I'm never going to miss March Madness. That's just not going to happen.
It's just that's I don't know. That's just like a cool format, like just freaking 64 team playoff,
one game knockouts. Yeah,
that's just insane. And like obviously the whole bracket thing. Like it's just all crazy. It's like the mathematical impossibilities that come with it. It's
so much better than the NBA playoffs because maybe no fault of the NBA. It's just the best players are playing in the NBA, and there's certain teams and there's certain players like LeBron that are just so dominant that it makes the playoffs way less exciting. It's not competitive, especially with like the fucking Warriors. Like the 7-game series ensure the best team will win. As long as everybody's healthy, it's going to be LeBron versus Durant. Like that's like a 95% chance. As long as everybody's healthy going into the playoffs, that's how it's going to end up. And a perfect bracket is like impossible. So it's like that's a huge dichotomy there as far as interesting playoff systems, and they're both basketball.
The conference finals in basketball is good, but it's like watching like a grind out football game. Like
I'll watch it.
It's gonna be long and hard fought, as opposed to like one player gets hot and then they knock off like the higher seed, which both have like their entertainment value.
And that being said, like the 7-game series in 2016 versus the Cavs and Warriors was one of the best playoff series I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So that's an exception to what, and it might be just this era with super teams that makes the playoffs less competitive, obviously.
Yep.
And then baseball playoffs, as we saw this year, can be like supremely exciting. And when you get that far in such a long season, the best teams and the most consistent teams have to be there. And then when you have the Dodgers versus the Astros, the two best teams in the league all year, the series is going to be really good, just like it was. And the teams don't score as much because pitching matters so much. All the hitters are pressing. Everything changes in the playoffs. So that is another, I guess, exception to or clarification to what I said earlier. Is like the playoffs are way different. But if the Astros had lost, then like I would feel fucking terrible about that. Like because I was all in on the team this year, as much as I could be. I wanted them to win so bad. At the same time, I knew the Dodgers were really good. So like, I couldn't be that surprised.
This was the first season in a while that I followed baseball. I remember at first you guys were like surprised because I would always be talking about the Astros and you were just like, what are you doing? You've like
what the fuck?
You've forsaken baseball for so long.
Yeah.
It was just I was just keeping up with the scores. I like the squad. My stepdad's dad's a big Astros guy like forever.
I mean, this team is easy to root for. A lot of likable players.
Yeah.
A lot of heart.
Team. doesn't make any sense because everyone's foreign. But yeah, the Astros had a good ball club this year.
Yeah, for sure.
But one sport that I would consider getting into would be hockey.
Yep.
It is alleged that is really fun to watch live and not on TV, which I totally understand, because going to a baseball game and going to a baseball game is a lot more fun than having it on television, unless there's stakes at the playoffs.
Right.
Like I every time the Astros came to town, I went to at least one or two of the games, and it was
a good time.
Yeah, it was always a good time. You get people together, and then there's the people that just don't give a shit and they're just there to drink, and then there's
yeah, I mean, live sports is kind of like live music. It's like a whole different thing.
Like football you can do with watching it on TV, I think. Like going to a football game is actually not even that much better.
It depends. It depends on the environment. There's a lot of Texans games. I was glad I was in the stadium.
Yeah, I've been to one game at NRG, and it wasn't even a Texans game.
Yeah,
I watched.
The stadium gets rowdy because of the roof. It closes.
Yeah,
Kyle Field. I can think of a lot of games where it was just too fucking hot to be there, and I would have been fine watching it at home. But it also might have been because of the product on the field.
Remember the Texas game 2011? It was so fucking cold.
Yeah, we were in the top corner.
Yeah, and then we lost.
The wind was just cutting through me, I was dead.
Yeah, you were wearing you were wearing they're not sweatpants. They're windbreaker pants.
I had windbreaker pants and a flimsy long sleeve with nothing underneath it. I was dying.
Yeah, it was cold as shit. It was 40 something and windy.
That might have been the day that my heart.
No, that was awful. I still distinctly remember we were just we got to get out of here, and then we were going down the infinite spiral.
Yeah.
And then I remember because you could see from one spiral to another, and seeing on the other one these Texas kids with their shirts off waving them around, and I was like, fuck, I hate these people. I would have fight the ball.
I wasn't even mad. I was just I was resigned. That was the first moment of many in watching A&M where
yeah, it was just we were gonna lose no matter what. It was just that helplessness fate. You knew what was gonna happen, and then there was that penalty, and then there was the freaking Case McCoy run.
The Case McCoy run.
The Case McCoy was out there making people breaking people like Vince Young.
Yeah, he was just fumbling around and just gaining so many yards. No one could catch him, and he was just slow. It was a paradox. It was slowly watching a disaster unfold that you knew shouldn't be happening, based on the on paper players and the on paper talent. Whenever Tannehill threw that pick six, I was I know UT doesn't have the offense to beat us. So the way that they win is a pick six. I told you that at the beginning of the game. Yeah. I was we can't turn it over. We can't give up defensive touchdowns. And Tannehill threw a terrible pick six on an out route that would have gained 1 yard anyways. And as soon as it happened, I was we're probably going to lose. In my mind, I was that was horrible. That's the exact type of thing that would happen if we were going to lose this game. And the rest happened.
And we most definitely did. That was an awful
But then experience. The silver lining in that, we discussed afterwards when we were more of a sober, mindful moment, is that we wouldn't have hired someone if that game had been won. Sherman would have been kept, and we wouldn't have started Johnny if Sherman was there.
Yeah, I don't Sherman would not have had the balls to start Johnny. He would have started Showers, and Showers would have been mediocre probably.
Yep. So in the end, it was probably a good thing. But at the time, it was a tough pill to swallow. Yeah,
that's why I when I sent that article today about the possibility of A&M and Texas playing in a bowl game, which has been spouted pretty much every year since.
Yeah, it's always bullshit.
But this year is the most possible because both teams are equally bad. Usually before it was A&M was in a mid-tier bowl, and then Texas was in a lower level bowl. Yeah. But now it's we're both we're both going to poop bowls, so might as well
we might as well play. Why are they opposed to it? I didn't read the article. I didn't care enough.
There's egos involved, allegedly. I don't know. It's all dumb.
It is
Like
very dumb.
there's egos involved on both sides. I'm not saying that Texas is scared or something.
It's just, I guess both sides are afraid of losing. But
Yeah.
honestly,
'Cause right now, Texas has eternal scoreboard, and they could hold on to that. Eternal
if that's
scoreboard.
factoring in, like all the Texas people are huddling up, and it's like, wait,
Like, oh, no, we can't lose to them.
we have eternal scoreboard right now. Like that's fucking terrible if that's happening. But I guess it wouldn't surprise me. But also, I think if we played and we just lost, even if it was like a blowout, I don't think I would care. I wouldn't care nearly as much because I have no expectations for this.
I think
team.
I would care.
I mean, I would care. I would obviously want us to win, but I wouldn't feel as bad as you would expect if we lost because I just have no expectations for this team.
Yeah, this year. Yeah,
This year.
probably. I don't know. I've seen so much bad football, and played in maroon and white. Just a lot of despair.
I'm just hoping the basketball team can be all right.
Yeah, they're cooking right now. They're cooking Oklahoma State right now.
Oh, really? Yeah, we beat West Virginia. I saw that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So basketball might be a silver lining. Like if you would have told freshman year us that like Billy Kennedy was going to have like a top 15, top 10 b-ball team and stuff, and someone was going to be out the door in 2017, we would have
Told you you're crazy.
Yeah,
You're high.
You're fucking high.
Yeah, Billy Kennedy has been very unimpressive. We've had a couple good teams, but we just don't have the discipline. Like the teams that were good that we've had has just been like talent, just pure talent, players making plays. But
Right.
Billy Kennedy hasn't, shown any coaching efficacy to be able to like discipline the
Remember,
players.
there
into
was
playing
like
defense.
an assistant coach or something who was like hot on the market or something. And I think like Mississippi State got him or something on when we went to the tournament 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is BK fool's gold? I don't know.
I think
It's hard-
BK's most assuredly fool's gold.
It's hard to say. It's hard
But,
to
I mean,
say.
I wish him the best. I hope that he develops some type of scheme that we can actually make a run in the tournament.
I hope he doesn't just tell him to pass it to Caruso, even though he's on the Lakers now. It's like Caruso get a steal, we'll score, we'll be all right. Like,
Yeah, we had to have that miracle, ridiculous comeback against was it
NIU.
Northern Illinois,
Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa.
Yeah.
It was entertaining as hell. I remember watching that with my roommates, and like we were going insane. Like we had resigned ourselves completely to losing, and we're just like, whatever,
Yeah.
fuck A&M basketball.
And like NIU had because NIU ruined like the wet dream that the schedule makers had set up in having A&M and Texas meet
Right, because they
go
beat
to
Texas.
to
on,
go to
a
like
half
was
court
it
shot.
to go to what the Sweet 16 was it? I think it was.
Yeah. The first two. It was the second round game that we were playing Northern Illinois, so
Yeah,
we would have
so-
been playing Texas.
Yeah, for a Sweet 16 spot, which was like the schedule makers were like salivating, and then like NIU
And they just
ruined that
beat
with that long range three.
I think it was a half court shot,
Yeah,
They, like,
yeah,
banked
it was like the longest three of all time.
and they beat Texas. Yeah, it was ridiculous. And then we had to come back in the final like 40 seconds to beat them, like by some ridiculous amount.
And then we got cooked by UCLA.
I thought we lost to OU. I thought.
Was it OU?
I think it was OU. This is 2 years ago.
Oh, it was Buddy Hield.
Buddy
Yeah.
Hield cooked us.
Yeah. And now he's in the black hole known as the Sacramento Kings.
I don't know, man. De'Aaron Fox. I think the Kings have some talent. They just gotta wait a couple more years. They're gonna be like the new Sixers.
They're processing over there.
Yeah, they just need a tank.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about tanking, but none of my teams have tanked. So
I
I've
I have a
never
strong
I've
take
never
on
actively
tanking.
I've never actively experienced a tank. I'll put it that way.
I
just
would be
take
fine
the ass
with like
first.
the Texans tanking, like right now. As long as Deshaun Watson's injured, we should be losing.
The only tanking I would be able to get behind is like a micro tank to get like a better playoff matchup. Which like
That's some high level shit. That's some Bill Simmons shit.
it's just like, oh, we can play the Like we can like if we lose a couple games, we can avoid playing the Thunder in the first round, and like or some shit like that. Like that's the only kind of tanking I can get behind.
Well, I guess the Texans can't tank this year because we traded our draft picks, so we're just in hell no matter what. Deshaun Watson getting injured a couple days after the Astros won the World Series was fucking devastating. Also,
was it for Deshaun that they traded? They traded into
yeah. At least one of our picks, but tanking would still improve theoretically our other round picks. So that would help a little bit, but I guess it mostly matters for the first round.
Who did you trade it to? The Browns?
I don't remember. It might have been the Browns. It'd be hilarious if it was the Browns because they just passed another good player.
I mean, but they got Miles, but also like...
Well, that was a later round pick. Like, we moved up a couple of rounds. A couple of picks in the first round.
I think they were happy with like just getting Miles.
Yeah.
I don't know. And now he's also another one of our boys stuck in the purgatory that is.
Yeah, I just hate the Browns and how they just destroy talent.
They destroy careers.
They just destroy entire careers.
Like I'm not gonna stand up for Johnny too much because he's a POS in his own right, but
he fucked up his life.
He could have gone to like the Chiefs.
But maybe if he didn't go to the Browns, he'd be in a better position right now.
If the Chiefs picked him up in like an Andy Reid offense,
be perfect. Like Alex Smith mentoring him.
Yeah, he's just like, hey, like don't beat your girlfriend, like. Alex Smith just giving him a little common sense.
It's okay to scramble and pass. That's what I do.
You can do both.
Yeah.
But Alex, we probably shouldn't be talking about Alex Smith couldn't throw the ball further than like 2 yards last night. So
I didn't watch, but he has.
I just saw the Twitter memes.
Of course.
I just saw the Twitter memes. It's how I get all my information. It's just processed through the shit grinder that is Twitter.
There was This is for Twitter. I actually had yesterday, I saw in the box score at some point that DeAndre Hopkins had caught a touchdown, and I want to watch the video of it. So I just went in my Google search bar and I typed in Houston Texans highlight, which was a mistake. And the first thing was the NFL.com or HoustonTexans.com, and I went to video on the site, and like the first thing was DeAndre Hopkins catches touchdown. Clicked on it. Loads for like 30 seconds, then starts playing an ad. Then the ad stops. It just keeps loading. Still not showing the video. I refresh it. It loads. I X out in disgust. And then I just open up Twitter and type in DeAndre Hopkins, and the first thing is a clear video of it, HD, and I just open it and watch it.
Yep.
And I was like, what the fuck was I thinking? Why did I try to go through the proper channel?
Yeah, no, the NFL's terrible in terms of that. I think I don't know, something was happening. Like, I think teams couldn't even make GIFs of that stuff. Like, I think the league was just like, hey,
no GIFs.
Your team Twitter accounts cannot make GIFs. Only the official NFL account can make GIFs because you know how like before like an NFL game, there's just like
without the NFL's written consent.
Yeah. Right, yeah. It's like they were like using that clause to like fuck over like the social media.
It's so stupid. The NFL is horribly run. They deserve to be like just lose out all their fan base and fuck up and lose money.
Yeah. See, I'm not an NFL fan. I was gonna do like a Players Tribune article about how I'm gonna stop playing fantasy after this year.
Yeah. Okay. You did mention that the other day. It's like I'm gonna write a Players Tribune article. Is that what that was gonna be about?
Yeah, I'm done after this year.
See, me and John at the concert were talking fantasy and how it's fucking terrible. And John was like, "I'm never playing again. There's too many leagues. I don't care anymore." And I was like surprised. I was like, John's right on this. And then I was like, why didn't John do this earlier? Like, he's always kind of hated fantasy or not cared, apathetic about it.
Yeah. So I think I'm done. I'm poised to win another league. And 3 championships in like however long I actually pay attention to it. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I mean, I couldn't blame you. I'll only play as long as everybody else wants to. So if others back out, the league might have to be put to rest. That's another thing. That kind of plays into what I was saying. Like, if I didn't have any fantasy football teams, which is the only fantasy sport I play at this point, I've played basketball and baseball in the past. But if I quit all fantasy, that would be a freeing thing. Like, that would be...
Yeah.
You're freeing yourself from yet another prison that you've created. That brings you mostly misery. Although this season, fantasy has not brought me much misery. I've mostly ignored it.
My season was like, I had like a good team, and it just like, I don't know, it just didn't pan out.
Yeah.
Or like a bunch of like just the usual crap, injuries, whatever. And it was just like, it just didn't pan out.
Yeah.
And like I've literally used the same like, I've used the same model for building my team. Like for the last like 3 seasons. Like, well, I go all in on wideouts, and like usually that works.
Yeah, I drafted Odell in a league. I picked up Deshaun. That was the only thing keeping me interested, and then Deshaun died. So Odell died. It's terrible. Yep, fantasy's terrible. I mean, if everybody quits, that's a natural progression of things, and it deserves to die.
Yep. I mean, I considered playing basketball this season, but I don't know how it works. And I was just like, I might be too washed to play it.
There's a lot of different types of rules. It's pretty basic. I like jokingly told me that we should start a basketball league, and then I forgot about it as soon as I sent it, because I think you said no, and then you're the only person that responded or engaged with it. And then I was like, just like forgot about it. But yeah, I mean that's my sports take.
Yep. I for the most part agree.
I think a lot of people would call me a hypocrite for saying a lot of this, or just being like fair weather, or just straight up lying. And then I'm gonna like, as soon as like my team, like the Texans are really good next year because Deshaun will be back or something, and we're like good, we're winning on like a 5-game winning streak, and I'm like a fan again, quote unquote.
Yeah,
I'll get shit on, but I don't know. This is what I think currently right now, and I'll still follow sports, but it's just going to be in a different way. Yep. I think there's more important shit out there, you know?
More important shit.
I'm evolving as a person.
Yeah, I need to find the next thing that I want to care about. And admittedly, I only truly
music or something.
I only truly cared about A&M football, but that might have been like just like right moment, right chance with the 2 Johnny years. Like if those 2 Johnny years would have happened, this whole process could have just been like expedited.
Yeah, it just would have ended a lot sooner. Yeah.
Right. So, I don't know. It was just a timing of things, I guess. But I'm not gonna like be mad about the Johnny years. Those were fun. Like watching Johnny play was fun.
Yeah,
like
it was good for its time.
Those 2 years was fun. Like I don't have too many regrets, honestly.
I agree. Yeah, I mean it was fine.
And basketball, yeah, basketball's fun to watch. Baseball, like actually, like A&M baseball games were really fun to go to. I went to those a lot. Those are just good social atmosphere. Obviously, it's impossible now to go to games because I don't live in College Station anymore. But
yeah, that is something to be said. Is as a social experience, sports will always be
like they're part of the
whether
like
that's going to games or just going to bars to watch an important game or just a game with friends. That's a different thing because that's a reason to like meet up and, you know, connect and talk shit to other people. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. I'm contradicting myself left and right. I'm very confused.
Yeah, I'm confused as well. Just trying to figure it out.
Yep.
Trying to figure out why I will irrationally pay a lot of money to go see Texas and A&M play in a bowl game, and then probably get into multiple physical altercations.
I might join you in that endeavor if that pans out. I will pay an irrational amount of money to go to that game for the novelty of it, and then I'll get super invested and maybe get an altercation as well.
A mental altercation with myself.
Well, I'm always in one of those.
Yeah. Like that picture of Michael Jordan wearing like the big suit and he's just like holding his head. Like that's gonna be me. I would be wearing like a large suit. I'd be like, why did I come here? Why am I wearing this?
that big, like sticky black like leather coat he wears. It's just a nightmare.
It just looks like it's wet.
Yeah, it looks like it's not like stretched to its full length, and if it was like it could be like a cape that could engulf like himself and other people in it.
Right. Yeah.
Like he's a fucking Looney Tune.
Fucking Looney Tune. Oh man. Yeah. So kids don't buy big jeans. That's basically what it comes down to. Buy jeans that are regular size. If they flap in the wind, that's probably a bad sign.
That tweet where it's like, when you inherited your dad's jeans, but not his jeans. they're wearing the terrible blue jeans.
With his son?
That is one of the best tweets of all time. Easily. Yeah.
Oh, man. There was fucking, what's his... Like, Michael Jordan, like, his son was, like, tweeting out pictures of his dick. He tweeted a picture of his dick and then like deleted it like hours later, like way too long later.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, it was an accident. That was supposed to be like a DM or something. At least he didn't give like the typical "I was hacked" excuse.
He said that was supposed to be a DM. He was telling the truth.
Yeah. So at least he's got integrity. It's not like Draymond. Draymond was just like, I got hacked, and then like weeks later he was just like, no, that was not. I was not hacked.
Draymond's garbage.
Yeah, I have no take on Draymond. I think he's interesting.
He's a good player, but he's such an arrogant asshole at this point.
I hear Chad brag about him all the time.
Because he went to Michigan State.
Yeah, Chad's a Michigan State.
The only people that actually like Draymond are Michigan State fans.
Actually, Chad is a good example as to how to like sports. Because Chad has other things going on in his life. He's got a good career, wife, 3 kids.
Well, that's what I think it takes is like perspective.
And like, yeah, because I'll go over there and be like, Michigan State got cooked, and he's just like, yeah, it happens. And then like, and then I was just like, you're supposed to care. Like, I know you care. He's just like, yeah, but it's like sometimes it's whatever. But then
he has cosmic galaxy brain.
Yeah, he has galaxy, but then he sometimes he reverts to like lateralis brain, and then he's like, like when Michigan State beat Michigan this year, he came to my desk wearing like a Michigan State shirt, like smiling, and I was just like, you I thought you didn't care.
I think it's honestly, if we're gonna cut to the core of this, like the good way to do it, you're explaining, and that I'm trying to attain. I think it's just, it's like a master fair weathersmanship.
Yeah.
That's basically how it is. Like, when you're getting cooked, you just step back and you get out of the fire. And when you're cooking, when you're the one doing the cooking, you jump in and you grab the pan and you cook alongside. Yep. That's just being a fair weather fan.
Yeah, and that's actually, like, it seems to be working out.
You're protecting yourself from the damage that is done,
right?
If you're fully invested all the time. It's like investing for life, for cycles of, booms and busts. Like you got your money in, all in. You're all in when the times are good, and you pull your money out when they're bad.
Yeah. So basically, don't root for a team if their record is below like 700.
Which is super fucked up. This is like the entire this is the entire like antithesis of being a quote unquote true fan.
Yeah, like rooting for teams when they're down. Like, I'm not gonna go to a fucking Jags game and watch them get destroyed.
No.
Like, that's dumb. I could do way better things with my time.
Yeah, it's all about hope. It's like you have to hope that your team's going to get better. That's why, like, maybe being a Sixers fan the last couple of years wouldn't have been that bad because you knew you had talent. You knew you were like developing towards something.
Right.
But being like a Browns fan right now,
yeah,
like,
you're doing.
You gotta
nothing.
just
fuck it up.
You gotta just fucking get out of there. You can't be a Browns fan and be sane.
It's a constant fuck up being a Browns fan.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do it. You got to commit like sports fandom suicide and just step away from it forever. At least I would.
Yep, I would never root for the Browns. But before I get called out on it, I do own a Browns jersey. So,
oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that. I wasn't going to call you out, but I should have remembered.
I need to go drop it off at like a Goodwill.
You do. That's exactly what you need to do.
It'll be like cursed.
But don't like do it in person. Just like drop it off at one of the Goodwill like buckets. That's like
it's actually
you could just
that jersey. That jersey's tainting my jersey collection because everyone else's jersey, whose I own, is a world champion.
Yeah,
Akeem the Dream, Carlos Correa, world champions. Johnny Manziel, not a world champion.
Yeah, you got to get rid of that.
Yeah,
That's a cursed artifact. That's a classic. Like you having that on your person in your wardrobe even is giving you like 1d6 of like psychic damage every month.
I did, however, see like a signed Johnny Manziel A&M jersey, which I would purchase.
No,
maybe.
Don't do that.
For like less, I would pay no more than $25 for it.
Signed
by Jonathan Paul Manziel. I would consider that, but other than that, no. I don't know. Maybe I'm done with football. Maybe this is all that means.
Which is
I don't know.
That's
maybe
I
need to go all in on A&M basketball. Like actually, like I went to like an A&M happy hour the other day, and there was multiple because A&M was playing like some crap team on Friday, and then they were all like talking basketball, like, oh yeah, this guy's good, or remember this guy, like, and then this guy was just like, I was there when like AC Law was there in 2007.
Yep.
A&M
basketball goat.
And I was just like, wow, you got like people. There's A&M basketball fans out there. Yeah. Just like
there's people that have always wanted the team to be good.
Right.
Yeah. It's just we don't put as much money as we do into football.
Not as much money, not as much like national attention. Like,
but to what you said, I don't think it would be wise to go all in on A&M basketball. To put it plainly, I mean, but in general, I don't think it's. What I've been saying is I don't think it's wise to go all in on anything. As it relates to sports.
We just contradicted myself again.
Yes.
Yeah,
there's cognitive dissonance and just like double think going on in our brain at all times where we can't think straight about sports, which lends, some credence to what I was saying. My thesis is that sports fandom is inherently and extremely irrational. And we're right in the thick of it right now.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had this talk.
Yeah, we actually got nowhere. We agreed.
I think we made some progress. But I think I had already made progress before this talk, and kind of articulating it has helped.
Yeah.
But perhaps that's only what I think. Subconsciously, I'm still exactly where I don't want to be. The only time will tell.
Ready to be drawn in any second?
Yeah.
Only time will tell.
Indeed. It sounds like it's time for bed.
Yeah. I'm sleepy AF.
All right, we got to plan this next podcast. we're out.